It took a little while, but I got my hands on this, a Tesla Model Y. It is as American as, well, mac and cheese. Well, or is it? Because, well, first of all, that is Australian, and secondly, this, it's really, really efficient. It's full of gadgetry, and it runs on batteries, and that makes it as American as, well, free healthcare, which is why I think it might do really well in New Zealand. Well, that largely depends on the price and range, which on this rear-wheel drive base model is just under 70 grand after the clean car rebate, offering a very usable 450 k's per charge and a 0 to 100 time of 6.9 seconds. As for the interior, if you've seen the Model 3, then you've seen the Model Y. They look near identical, except for the fact that in this car you've got much more room. A higher roof and higher ground clearance means the Model Y is easier to get into than my bedroom, with the lip of the front seats measuring 73 centimeters off the ground, easily fitting someone 6.5 feet tall. The car has a very flat floor, so rear seat passengers get a few extra centimeters in footroom, as well as leg and headroom, and a center armrest and USB charging below the rear vents. But it's the boot that has the biggest chonk factor, with a 100% increase in boot space over the Model 3, measuring in at 854 litres. It's more than big enough for a body, and with the push of a button, the rear seats fall forwards, turning this into a massive electric station wagon, or a bed, as I'll find out later in the video. Up the front, the car also has a 122-litre fitment or front compartment and a very cheeky PSC of 69. Nice. As for gadgets, you get the same throbbing 15-inch display as the Model 3, a sound system that plays my rubbish 80s playlists very clearly, wireless phone charging in a very vision-friendly location, and fully adjustable electric seats. Overall, it's a very decent package, but what's it like to drive? Well, there's only one way to find out.
The reason I did all the intro in the actual Tesla showroom is because the weather today is atrocious. It is awful. There's always that moment when you get behind the wheel of a very expensive car that's worth more than you, where you are not familiar with it yet. You're in that terrified stage. This is where I'm at right now. Yeah, I like this. The initial feeling is good. But then again, once you get comfortable, get used to it, there's bound to be some things I don't like about it. We'll get to that, I'm sure. Now, if you're thinking that, wow, this interior looks really similar to the Tesla Model 3, well, it is. They share about 75% of the components, believe it or not. So the dashboard options are limited to this standard with the wood grain effect, which I like because I'm actually an octogenarian in a 42-year-old's body. So this is my kind of Werther's original stuff going on here. I like this British Leyland wood grain. But if you don't want that, you can get a black and white interior as an optional upgrade. Something I found quite interesting is that when this car started selling not long ago, a whole bunch, dozens of Tesla Model 3s appeared on Trade Me. People who had bought Tesla Model 3s and used them and loved them jumped on the waiting list to get a Tesla Model Y. So the demand is obviously there. Oh wow, the acceleration, it wants to go. Now, I'm no Teslaologist, but I do think this car is going to do really, really well, judging by the public discourse about it. People are clamoring to get their hands on these cars. I think it's going to be a real sales success because there's no real, as far as I can tell, immediate competition for this car. There's cars of similar sizes, but no electric cars of similar sizes with all the gadgets built in for this price point. I mean, sure, it's not a cheap car, but you get a lot for your money. And I think Kiwis have figured that out. It's the same case with the Tesla Model 3. Tesla Model 3, even the base version, is not a cheap car, but bang for buck, there's no real direct competition in that price point for that much gadgetry. It's a bit early, but I'm just going to put a little bit of this Autopilot on. Keep your hands on the wheel. Okay. Oh, I love this, man. I love this. The car, even in the rain, the car is driving itself. Out of all the cars I've driven with lane keeping assist or self-driving, whatever you want to call it, the Tesla system has always been the one to beat. There's other car makers that have done excellent jobs and they're pretty much on par, but as far as smoothness goes and not misreading exits and doing a little when it goes past an off-ramp on the motorway, this system still seems to be the most intelligent. Now, if you wanted to get the full self-driving capability package, then that's an extra $12,000. And for that, you'll get things like auto steering on city streets eventually, and automatic lane changes, and automatic park summon as well, so the car will come to you from the other side of the car park. but you have to weigh up whether or not that's worth $12,000. Okay, so one minor critique, because I'm not familiar with the car yet, is I am seeing the window about to start fogging up there, and I would really like to be able to defog the window. Hang on. Defog windscreen. No, not dome lights on. Dome lights off. There's no obvious way, unless maybe there is a way and I don't have the voice command right, but I don't know how to turn the windscreen fogging thing off. That's one downside to a touch screen. It's the common complaint that all car reviewers say, oh, there's no buttons, I can't turn it on. And I don't mind no buttons, but if the voice control would allow me to turn the windscreen defogger on, I would prefer that. Fan to medium. Set fan speed to 1. There we go. Sweet. Okay, so that's how you do it. You just got to learn the commands. After driving this for about 20 minutes or so, I'm starting to get a feel for it, and I can feel that it does feel heavy. It's a heavy vehicle. You notice that when you go over a bump, you can feel the mass. It comes out of nowhere because you get blindsided. You get thinking that, oh, this is a light, nimble car because it feels so light and nimble on the steering. But then when you go over a bump, you think, oh, no, there's a lot of mass behind this car. One potential criticism is that the suspension is quite firm, and it was the same in the Tesla Model 3. If you remember the Tesla Model 3 review I made, I tried to smooth out the ride quality by adding about 60 kilograms worth of potatoes, and that did actually make a difference. The before and after shots going over a set course did smoothen the ride quality out a little bit, and putting the weight in the back made the Tesla feel more like a Porsche. But this one does have a firm feel to it, and if you like that sort of firm ride, then this is going to really float your boat. I like this. Even though this is just the basic rear-wheel drive version with around a 250 kilowatt motor and a 60 kilowatt hour battery, it still feels pretty good. 0 to 100, 6.9 seconds, which is not epic, but for a crossover of this size, that's better than most petrol versions you'll get, especially in this price point.
And as I stopped home to grab some supplies, I noticed a lack of flexing when parking on the uneven driveway.
Okay, let's try reversing. No creaking so far. It's going to be beeping. No creaking at all. This is a tight, strong chassis.
Yep, just about every vehicle I've brought home has made some flexing sounds when I park here on this uneven ground, but not the Model Y. However, as I was discovering, the car's not perfect.
Some little criticisms I have about the car is that the rear view is pretty small, so you really do need to rely on the cameras, which is a good thing. The cameras are really good. Great depth of field, good area you can see, it's awesome. Ooh. Because yeah, that back window, that's pretty useless.
And its rain-sensing wipers tend to either ignore the rain or start suffering from hydrophobia.
Next criticism I have is, well, I've got a mist function on the edge of the stalk here for the wipers that I can give the wipers one wipe. If I want to adjust the wipers more, I need to actually go into the menu, which means take my eyes off the road. And the auto wipers it has, which I could just use, but they are a little bit enthusiastic. Even on light rain, they do sort of get a bit carried away. See, and that's not really necessary for the mist that we're in right now. And I don't know if you're like me, you're a bit of a wiper fanatic. You like to have your wipers in complete control, just the right amount. You're always adjusting the wipers to get it right. Yeah, I know, I'm weird. But that is a minor annoyance for me because I like to be in control of the wipers, and the auto wipers are just a little bit too enthusiastic. Another minor complaint I have is that there's no heads-up display, and you get a heads-up display as standard in a lot of cars that cost around about the same. That being said, I've seen a lot of reviewers complain endlessly about the speedo being off-center, that they have to move their eyes a couple of inches that way to the left to see the speedo, and really that is not a big issue. You can just flick your eyes like that. You don't have to look far away like an old Minis where the speedo is in the middle of the dash. it's really not that big a deal. So I think some reviewers are just looking for things to complain about because cars are getting too good.
But one complaint about Tesla that's made the rounds for the last decade is fit and finish, with some early models reportedly suffering from uneven panel gaps. Now, my opinion is worthless on this matter because I'm not a paint and panelologist, so I pulled in to speak to a local professional, Matteo Fumero from Pepe Panel and Paint, who I should point out I've never met before and he has no connection to Tesla, but I asked him to take a moment to scrutinize the panel fitment of this new American vehicle and to give me an honest, unbiased opinion.
I can tell you right now, after doing Ferraris, Lamborghinis, all those cars, I do not think they're as perfect as this. I mean, you can see all the lines just of the guards going into the bumper. All the lines with the lights are perfect, especially coming off here, you know, the guard. I mean, I've seen worse, and I mean, this, I reckon it's perfect. Awesome. I honestly think it's perfect.
All right, so that's one myth put to bed.
And with that bit of consumer advice complete, it was time to chuck this beast into some corners in the countryside. Well, once I got out of Auckland traffic.
One thing I can try while I'm stuck in traffic is to see if my phone will fit in the wireless charging bay. I finally have a phone with wireless charging. I bought an unusual phone online. It's actually not too bad. It's not brilliant, but it's not too bad. The only problem is it's pretty long and weirdly shaped. Stop it. And it never fits in any car. Oh, I don't think it's going to fit. Oh, no, look. Just jams in there. There we go. And it's charging. It's wirelessly charging. That is sweet, because none of the other cars I've had, it fits in there. That is wicked. All right, Tesla, you get a green tick from me for that. And not only does it have wireless charging on the driver's side, but it's got wireless charging on the passenger side as well. That is brilliant. Wireless charging, but big charging docks. And I don't need a phone holder or anything. It's right there in my line of vision, sort of. Got to look down a bit. It is a miserable, cold Auckland day right now. It's 14 degrees Celsius, which in Roman Catholic is, I'll put it on the screen. And the heat pump in this car is doing a fantastic job. It's not an induction heater, it's an actual heat pump. Just adds to the efficiency. This entire car is just efficiency on wheels. It has a drag coefficient, I think it's 0.23, which for a car of its size, 0.23, that is incredible. It just slides through the air. One thing I do want to mention though is the battery in this car. It is an LFP battery, a lithium iron phosphate, and I love this battery technology. I don't know if it's possible to love a chemistry, but this is my favorite battery chemistry because it's really hardy. It can discharge and charge at much higher rates than lithium ion. It's incredibly safe. No thermal runaway. It's not going to combust. You can run them hot, run them cold. They're really bulletproof and they're more ethical because they don't use cobalt. I mentioned this car is really efficient. Look, I'm only doing 75 k's an hour and the rain is just rolling off the windscreen. And if I can get up to speed a bit, look at it go. It's like that Windows screensaver on Windows 95. I won't lie, I was a little skeptical when I got behind the wheel, thinking that, oh, this might be a bit wobbly, but it's actually pretty decent. If you hadn't driven the Model 3, you wouldn't really complain about the ride quality. It's just the Model 3's lower to the ground. This is just a little higher off the ground. I think that's what gives it that sort of Land Cruiser-y feel, but it's so barely noticeable. If you weren't looking for it, you would not notice. It still handles like a mountain goat, and it's just a shame about the weather. I can't go too hard into these corners, maybe a little bit. Whoa, traction control saved my bacon there. The thing is, if I were to close my eyes while driving, which obviously I won't do it because this doesn't have full self-driving, and if I closed my eyes and imagined what car it is, I wouldn't imagine that this was an American car. It just handles far too well. And that's because it's an electric car. The center of gravity is really low. Even though it's a crossover, its weight is right down low where the battery pack is. This is not a cheap car, don't get me wrong, but it feels much more expensive than it is. It drives like a car that costs $50,000 more at least. It really does. If that was one way to sum up the Model Y, it would be, it drives like a car that costs twice as much.
Yep, it's been a pleasure to drive this car for a day, but all good things must come to an end, so as the sky grew dark, I made a detour to wrap up the day's filming at a familiar location.
And here we are. We have just arrived to the secret destination as part of this very, very unusual thing I'm going to do. I don't know if I'm actually allowed to do this, but regular viewers of this channel will know all about Miranda Holiday Park, that time that I towed a caravan with a Polestar 2 to see how far I can go per charge when towing with an electric car. That's a great video. If you want to check it out, I recommend it. Good for a laugh. You'll learn a lot and have a few giggles along the way. What I'm going to do now is utilize something in this car, a special feature that I really don't know if anyone else has done this in New Zealand yet. Probably, I don't know. It could be the first. Let me go check into the holiday park and do something really weird. I'm really kind of weirded out by this. It sounds weird.
Regardless, I got checked in and assigned a campsite and then went up the road to the only place that sold food in a 40-kilometre radius, which went well.
Oh no. Don't tell me the fish and chip shop is closed. Closed on Monday. Oh, bollocks. Well, now what am I going to eat? That's really not good. I do not have a plan B. Oh no. Oh boy.
So I drove back to the holiday park with no dinner. Well, sort of.
I said I didn't have any food, but you remember the mac and cheese I used as a prop at the beginning of the video? Well, I also brought with me a thermos full of boiling water so I could make cups of tea. So it looks like somehow I'm going to make mac and cheese. I didn't bring any utensils or anything. Yeah, this is going to be interesting. Anyway, let's set this thing onto camping mode. It's in park now, so let's go into climate control, camp mode. Okay, car will stay on until battery reaches 20%, sentry mode, security alarm, and walkaway lock will be disabled. Alright, so I've got to lock the doors manually, and I brought with me an air mattress. I don't know what I'm doing. This is going to be interesting. There are already videos out there of people going camping in their Tesla Model Ys. I don't know if anyone's done this in New Zealand, but the difference between those videos and this one is that they want to do it. I really don't. I made this decision after an adult beverage, thinking that'll be really great on video. And now that it's here, and I've got to inflate a mattress in the back of the car, I really, my heart's not in it. Okay. Let's crack into it.
I got the seats folded down and the mattress inflated, and with the car in camping mode, I was soon ready to create a meal from what I could forage in the car.
I never thought I'd be eating this. And I've got no spoons or anything. How am I going to do this? Okay, well, let's just figure it out. I've got a thermos full of hot water. I didn't know the fish and chip shop was going to be closed. I'm not even going to get my dose of potatogens. What do I use to stir it with? Let's just use my finger. Let me disinfect it first. At least I've got my alcohol spray. I would recommend skipping ahead. This is nothing good will come from watching this. What's happened to my life? I'm eating macaroni and cheese. I'm stirring with my finger. In a car. In a paddock. I feel like a really wealthy homeless person.
And soon enough I had some fine American cuisine prepared, so I settled in to watch something on the car's screen with no shortage of options, from Netflix to Disney Plus to YouTube and even Twitch, before hitting the hay for the night on Tesla's camp mode. And while I sleep in a paddock for your viewing pleasure, allow me to do a quick shout out to Ecotricity for making these videos possible. Ecotricity is New Zealand's only carbon zero certified electricity provider, which means every metric gallon of electricity they provide is 100% renewable from wind, hydro and solar power. So join the good fight and save some cash with their competitive prices by joining up at ecotricity.co.nz. And while you're there, check out the EV Buyer's Guide, where you'll find the ranges and prices of every electric vehicle on sale in New Zealand today, including this brand new Tesla Model Y with camping mode that was actually not too bad.
And good morning from Chateau Tesla. Yes, I may have slept in a car in a paddock, but honestly I actually slept better than the last two times I was down here, where I was either too cold or too hot in a sleeping bag, but I actually slept all right. And that's pretty good, considering that when it comes to sleep, with me, sleep is like a SpaceX launch. You know, all the conditions have to be absolutely perfect or it gets postponed. But this camping mode, it might be more than just a gimmick. It's actually not bad. But I have no idea how much electricity I used through the night, and I need to go use the bathroom and I've got to go find some coffee. It's time to turn off camping mode and see how much power we've got left. 55%. Okay, that's not too bad. That used, what, 14-15%. In 12 hours. That's pretty good, actually. And 55% is more than enough power. It's twice the power I need to get all the way back to Auckland and use one of the superchargers from Tesla. So, awesome. All right, let me go freshen up and then let's hit the road. Man, I'm looking forward to getting that coffee. But after having this car for a couple of days, I've kind of relaxed a bit, got the hang of it. I would say that with the Tesla Model Y, like the Model 3, there's more learning required than there would be with a car that's all just conventional buttons. But like learning any new skill, once you learn it, it sort of pays off and you kind of get used to it. You start to think it's better. For example, to turn on the autopilot. Double tap the stalk, take my foot off the accelerator. The car's basically doing the driving now, my hands are just resting. And yesterday I was going on about, how do I control the window wipers without taking my eyes off the road? Well, now I realize that if I press the mist button and wipe the mist off, the window wiper controls appear on the bottom of the screen right near the stalk. Little intuitive things like that, you slowly learn, and once you learn, you'll never want to go back, I think. That being said, if you do like conventional buttons, I don't think you're going to like this car. But if you do like that Star Trek thing, you want to pretend that you're Data controlling the Enterprise, then you're absolutely going to love this. This is going to feel like getting in a Star Trek shuttlecraft every day.
Personally though, my favourite gizmo in this car is Autopilot, which in Auckland's stop-start motorway traffic is an absolute godsend. And there's another advantage to owning a Tesla: they have their own charging network, which I was about to utilise.
Alright, my eyes! I'm at Sylvia Park Mall looking for the Tesla superchargers. I have used these once before when I reviewed the Model 3. There they are, the Model 3. And I've got the battery down to 34%, so it should be good to see what this thing charges at. Now obviously I could just go home and charge for a quarter of the price, but there is something fun about Tesla superchargers. Because they're a novelty, I don't get to use them very often. The reversing cameras on this are really good, even though they're probably filthy from all the road grime. And here is a supercharger. Okay, so these things are pretty straightforward. It's designed so that the car will be right up close. You plug it in and the car does the rest, no key fobs or anything. And let's go see how fast it charges. Alright, look at the speed ramping up. 30 kilometers an hour recharging speed. Ramping up 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 150, 100. Look how fast it's going. Oh, we're charging at 350 kilometers an hour. 690 kilometers an hour it's charging right now. That is impressive. Alright, that's all wonderful and all that, but I really just want coffee right now, so I'm going to go get one. Alright, got myself a coffee to get a mobile liquid recharge. And this car is charging. Let's see how it's looking. So we're at 77% it's just gone to now, and that's been, 17 minutes or so, which is pretty good. In fact, it's faster than I haven't even started my coffee yet, as you can tell, because I'm messing my words up. I need coffee. But one of the big draw cards to buying from Tesla is that they have their own supercharger network that I'm plugged into now. But you're not tied to it. You can use any network you like. You can use ChargeNet as well. So you've got a lot of charging options with Tesla, but when Tesla inevitably opens their own network up to other car makers to use, a lot of the exclusivity of Tesla will go out the window, and I don't know what that will mean for Tesla's, its individual factor, its wow factor, its exclusivity factor. I don't know if that's going to have a negative impact or not. Well, we'll find out. All right, enough words, coffee.
And once the caffeine had kicked in, I was finally in a position to give you, the discerning viewer, my admittedly worthless summary of this American newcomer, the Tesla Model Y. And that is the gist of the Tesla Model Y. All in all, it's an excellent car, though if I were to choose between this and the Tesla Model 3, I might still choose the Model 3 simply because I like sedans. It's a personal choice thing. But this has some advantages over the Model 3. For example, it has more space, it's easier to get in and out of, and the towing capacity in this is 1.6 tons. The Model 3, only 1 ton. Though it is, all in all, an excellent package. I mean, it's got it going on, it's got range, it's got performance, it's got charging speed and the charging network as well. It's got efficiency, quality of ride, rigidity, safety, all at that price point. You take that whole package into consideration. At the moment, this car, as it stands, has no real competition, which is why I think it's going to sell really well.